Hello, welcome back to the Montessori Family channel. Today I want to chat with you about the treasure basket. So I want to show you how to make a treasure basket and what is a treasure basket, okay? So it's for babies between 6 months of age to roughly 1 year of age. So when your baby is able to sit unaided, you can introduce a treasure basket. And basically, what is a treasure basket? It's a collection of objects, okay, of everyday objects. So it's not specifically toys, it's really objects that you would find around your house and also natural items. So those objects need to be interesting to explore for your baby, and especially to explore through the 5 senses, okay, because a young baby likes to explore by touching, smelling, manipulating. Obviously they also see the object and they're going to shake it to see if that makes some music, some sounds, but mainly they're going to just really manipulate with their hand. And you know, why is it important to provide this kind of sensorial stimulation? It's because mainly, you know, the toys that you will find in shops and will be mainly made of plastic and will be very bright in colors. But for a child, for a young baby or toddler, there will not be any difference between two similar plastic toys, okay? Because it doesn't have any understanding of what the toy represents yet. So for your child, it's much more interesting to explore any kind of object that is made of natural material. So for example, I'm going to show you a bit what I have in this treasure basket, and you know, that will give you some ideas of what to put in your own treasure basket. So obviously you need a basket, you know, any kind of big container. If you don't have a pretty, you know, wicker basket, that's fine. Just take whatever you have, like, you know, a salad bowl or a plastic container will do as well. And you can go just really, even today, you can go and gather objects around your house and you will find many objects that are interesting from a sensorial point of view for your baby. Like this egg holder, metallic egg holder, so you can do that. And many other objects that are super interesting. Okay, so I'm going to show you a close-up of those objects. Okay, so let's explore what is in my treasure basket. So there are a lot of things that you can find in your kitchen, like a little spatula, egg holder, some brush. This one is a massage tool, you know, some kind of sponge, strainer, a metallic one, the tea strainer, so some musical instruments. And I have also already real rattle, baby rattles. There are a few, and some more natural elements, like this beautiful starfish, some object to smell, so it's a lavender bag, and this one is an old container of vanilla, so it still smells. Some interesting objects, so it's just a lid, a jar lid, and that makes some noise. There we go. A lot of bangles, it's always interesting. Loofa, and you can, you know, alternate the kind of texture you offered, so it's like rattan, metal, wood. And so the idea is to have around 80 to 100 objects in your treasure basket. So let me introduce you to Elizabeth Hugues, who is an early year teacher, and she works mainly in school here in the UK to introduce the young children in early years to heuristic play, so play with everyday objects and with natural materials and the treasure basket. So let's watch my interview with her, and we have discussed, treasure basket, heuristic play, the importance of playing with natural material, and much more. That's a very insightful chat that I had with her, and we'll meet at the end of this video.
If you could get inside a baby's brain while they were interacting with objects, they would be saying, what is this like? So they're trying to find out, what is this object like? So I did bring some examples, I'll show you. So
yeah, good.
Great.
You can show us.
Thank you. So therefore, if we're remembering that the baby's world is really small, and we're remembering they're interacting with objects, we have the key is variety. The more experiences we can give them, the better. So variety in texture, size, shape, colour, everything. And we need to make sure that those we consider the multi-sensory element of those things. So I have 3 toys here. This is plastic teapot, plastic binoculars, and a plastic helicopter. And we know that these things are 3 different things because we have the prior knowledge of what they are. We know that they have distinct uses, and we know that they can be played with in a certain way. But to a baby of that age that's under 10 months, they're experiencing this in a sensory way. Now, if you experience all these things with your senses, but you have no prior knowledge of what they are, they all become the same. They're all shiny. They're all cold to the touch. They smell the same. They taste the same if you lick them, because let's face it, babies put everything in their mouths. And basically they become the same. So the key thing with providing objects for young babies is variety. So the best thing for this is a treasure basket, in my opinion. So a treasure basket is I'm sure you've come across these before, but it's a large circular, if possible, basket that can house 80 to 100 objects. And like I said before, the key to this is providing variety in the objects that are in the treasure basket. So a child will tend to explore these with their mouths. So it's all about how they feel, smell, taste, all of that stuff. You would offer this type of activity to a seated baby for as long as they were prepared to play with it, which in my experience can be anything up to an hour, if you can believe that. I've seen 5-6-month-old play with a treasure basket for an hour. The idea is to let the baby explore as independently as possible. So we don't hand them objects, we don't sort of show them how to play with them. We just sit and be attentive and wait for them to explore. And like I said about variety, 80 to 100 objects, it can be really, really daunting to try and collect this many objects. But even if you just collect a few, just think about that sensory element and the variety. Do you want to see a couple of different things? So you've got like a makeup brush, all things you can find in your house or in nature or around. What else have we got in here? A wallet, there's a leather wallet there. We've got things from the kitchen, so tea strainers.
I have the same one in my treasure basket.
Do you? Yeah, I mean,
exactly the same.
It's brilliant. Wooden spoons come from the kitchen as well. They're fantastic. But a variety of textures. This I found in a hardware store. This was rubber, but my daughter chewed on this when she was teething for a long time. I don't even know what it is. But it's something that's very fun. Glass as well. Thick glass that can't be broken is a really, really good one because of how smooth and shiny it is.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about the glass, because I think some parents are afraid to put a glass in the treasure basket, but with very young children, because they don't have the ability to throw yet, they're just going to grasp and let go. It's like still a bit of a reflex, so they're not going to hurt, with the glass. But obviously, if you present that to a baby and there is a toddler around, you need to be careful when you introduce a glass. But I used to have this kind of baby jar with like beads in it or pasta in it, and it was the most interesting one for my daughter in the treasure basket because she was shaking it.
Yes. Oh, I think I have one like that. Look, here we go.
Yeah.
So this has got.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're totally right. And I think that makes a really good point about the treasure basket. It is a supervised activity. You've got to be aware of where your baby is and what they're doing. And you're right. They don't have the coordination to be able to break this. But, it's worth keeping an eye open, especially with older children, 100%. I include loads of stuff that people go, I'm trying to think, things like shells and things that, could very, very quickly become lethal. if they were broken. But the thing about having a treasure basket is just keeping an eye on the objects and making sure they're fresh, making sure they're not broken, going through it every now and again. And so much waste stuff, lids, tin lids, look what they do. It's amazingly sensory. It's brilliant. So this really, in my opinion, if your baby is under 10 months or immobile, but able to sit up and able to hold their own head up, then this is fantastic.
And the idea of like so many objects, like 80 to 100,
I can hold it like this. Is that better?
It's daunting, but the idea as well is that the young baby will not, select. So they kind of need not that quickly select, but that also grasp and let go all the time. So it can go quickly, if they have like 10 objects, it's done in 5 minutes. But when they have this kind of basket full to the brim, they will, be focused on it for a very long time. Yeah. And I don't think it takes that long to really collect the object. It's just changing your mindset.
Exactly.
And being able, to go somewhere and say, oh, that could be nice for my treasure basket, and I think very quickly, like, if we have parents with babies, newborns watching this, start to collect, obviously, but I think you can collect very quickly, even in your house, you will probably find 20 objects tonight, and then you go to the charity shop and you will find all of a sudden 20 objects as well, because your mindset change when you go to a charity shop with the idea to do a treasure basket. The amount of napkins holders I've collected.
Oh, so many, yes. And even things like scritches. Look, scourers. They're so interesting.
You go to the, Poundland or dollar store for the Americans, and you find many, many wooden little spoon and brushes and all of that, very quickly, like, kitchen holder, this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Of course, it's worth mentioning as well that things, you must make sure that they're not swallowable. And I heard of two. There are choke tests available on the internet. You can buy a choke test, which is really good for parents who are worried about offering this kind of thing. A collection of objects in heuristic play is a collection of objects that are similar. Don't necessarily have to be the same, but they're similar. So here's one. Let me move this. This one is a collection. Oops, I've got no space here. This one is a collection of chains. Okay. Mobile, and so about 10 months to a year, this big change happens in the brain, and basically it's like us suddenly realizing that we can control things with our mind. The children suddenly realize, the babies suddenly realize they have control over the objects. They can bang them, push them, throw them, tap them, everything. And suddenly the play completely changes. And at that point, the treasure basket kind of becomes a little bit redundant, and you need to move the play on. And that's
so you kind of introduce categories, like maybe all objects that make noise and things that fit into each other.
Yeah, so at this point, I would introduce heuristic play. And all heuristic play is a collection, so collections and containers. Collections and containers. I've got loads of different chains. That might sound completely bonkers, but this one, for example, is a bath chain, that at the end of a plug is on. This one, I found lots of them in hardware shops and on various different household stuff. So this is a collection of chains. So you need a number of things that are similar. Here, this one is a collection of, obviously, corks. Oh, collection of corks here. So it's a collection, an abundance, that's the key thing, an abundance of a particular type of object. And what you put with that is a collection of containers. So here's a collection of containers. And at this point, this is where the children find that they can start to manipulate objects. So they'll start to fill, empty, push, pull, all of those things we talked about. And that's, a lot of the schemas or sensitive periods will include those kind of actions. But providing containers and collections is just a really simple way of providing open-ended play for them to act out those kind of things that they're trying to practice.
The idea that it's in abundance, it's also, I guess, because that's going to be able to repeat and to try different things, and and not to be short of ideas, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So being able to try out and be a real scientist, to try if they're trying to get, for example, this chain into this pot, and they miss that time, they have loads more to try again. And you start to see that child really experiment and start. It's like a scientist. They start to spot toys. You know, if you have toys and lots of them, and you want to provide something different, I would say the best thing to do is to start small. So if you have a very young baby, just start with a couple of items from your house. Raid the kitchen. That's the best thing to do. A wooden spoon, an egg poacher, a tea strainer, that kind of thing. And if you want to try some heuristic play, okay, it's not a natural object, but I think found and recycled objects are just as good, and household objects. I know that Montessori has a huge emphasis on household and domestic kind of involvement. Everyone in their house has, usually, I would assume, has a peg, you know, a collection of pegs. So I bought mine. So this is my bag of pegs that I hang the washing with. You know these?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if I was going to set up a very quick open-ended play experience for children, and I had nothing, I would use, I'll turn this down and I'll set it up for you. So I would grab a load of containers from the kitchen. So it can be Tupperware, bowls, anything. I've got a few different ones here. Got a curry dish. I'll just do this so you can see. Can you see that, Corinne? Is that okay?
I see.
So I would just grab a sort of selection of different containers. I would use your pegs, give them a quick rinse and some water or whatever, set some up, peg a few on as a little invitation to what they might do with them. Maybe turn that one upside down and put a few on here. And I would leave the bag open next to it like this with the whole collection in it. And I would just leave that in my living room, ready for my toddler to come across and see what they do. If you're interested in in learning more, these two books are great. There's this one, Developing Play for the Under Threes, and then this one as well, Treasure Baskets and Beyond. And they're just both really comprehensive guides to using treasure baskets, using heuristic materials. So I'd recommend those too.